take this moment to kind of spend a minute or two to just throw back my impressions of what this corona lockdown could precipitate into a larger organizational issue once people start going back to their workplace. One is, we hear a lot about potential layoffs. We see a lot of people who are contractual employees across hierarchies getting laid off. While there is a government diktat of trying to be more benevolent, what does it really mean in terms of good people practice? I think this is the time when companies will have to kind of demonstrate whether human capital is a resource to be milked or it's an investment that needs nurturing. And while a lot of the talk is being talked of, I would be a little skeptical about how much of the walk will happen. Of course, in the near term, increment freezing, maybe some token salary cuts at senior levels, maybe a little delayed or holding back of bonuses are but very logical things to happen. And I don't think employees need to be grumbling too much about that, because these are desperate times and the companies need to balance profitability, sustainability, survival with what they can do best. But if it were to actually lead to job losses, it will be unfortunate, because this is not the doing of a company or a set of people. This is truly somewhere an act of God. And I think cultures are created in these moments where both sides are able to make sure that they ensure that the company survives, bounces back, and in the process they save their jobs, and eventually they will reap back their financial benefits. And I think therefore it will call for a lot of maturity from even employees on tempering expectations of promotions and big bonuses and big revisions. It's not going to happen. And I think it is absolutely fair for employers also to be a little more prudent about some of these. But what I would expect a lot to be done would be about conversations with their employees. A lot to do in terms of their skill building, their capacity creation, their capability enhancement, just that emotional touch. And as I wrote in the press the other day, I mean, just because there is social distancing does not mean that there has to be an emotional distance. And the way employers, leaders and managers will learn to connect with their people will be the biggest organizational gain, a lesson from what is otherwise really a crisis of our times. And I would be very disappointed if leaders and managers continue to be riding the high horse, looking at their big bonuses, and continue to ignore the softer dimensions of their leadership, which typically, I must confess, I find missing with many, many leaders across a range of industries. And I think if we are able to support and buttress that, I think we will be in a much better situation to look at a new world, a new organizational culture, a new reinforcement of leadership behavior, and therefore in that process, elimination of growing skepticism and cynicism that I find in many, many workplaces. So let's hope that the crisis leads us on to greater wisdom, judgment, and we look beyond just a temporary transactional yes or no of an HR response, but to something which is really more strategic and a culture building opportunity that we must never lose. Good luck, guys. I would love to see how you guys are responding, thinking on some of these suggestions. Take care, stay safe.